Hi, fans of high-quality entertainment. So on my Larry Graves Canadian Studmuffin YouTube channel, today I just posted, I filmed it yesterday, but I posted it today, where I unboxed more CDs from Amazon, and I actually show the viewers before I know what they are. So if you haven't seen that video, maybe go watch that first and then come back. So anyway, the CDs were more Donovan. For starters, I've already got, as some of you know, because I keep talking about it, Donovan in Concert, double CD, The Hurdy-Gurdy Man, Mellow Yellow, and Sunshine Superman. And I'd been waiting, I have some CDs on order, and I finally got 3 yesterday by Donovan. And I also want to talk a little bit about more Beatles in mono. I listened to more of their albums, and some Pink Floyd albums. So I'm going to put these in order of how much I enjoyed them last night. So the one Pink Floyd related CD I have not listened to yet is The Madcap Laughs by Syd Barrett, but I will get to it. So I listened to 2 more mono albums by the Beatles. I've got the box set, the Beatles in mono. So I'll give you a little review of that. I listened to Pink Floyd Animals, the 2018 remix, again. I guess I listened to it on my Patreon channel, but I've done, I think it's maybe close to 200 album reactions on there in the past 2 or 3 years. And I do sort of remember listening to it, but not totally. And then Adam Hart Mother, and 3 Donovan albums. So first up, I am really seriously enjoying the Beatles in mono. I listened to A Hard Day's Night last night on headphones, and that's the thing too. As much as I now enjoy most mono recordings that I listen to on headphones, I know that if I had a really good stereo system, right, and just blasting the mono, it would sound even better. And the other thing I want to mention is I think what's helping me enjoy some of these albums more, that I had listened to in the past, is I've got a better stereo setup now. I used to just have this old CD player, or they call it a ghetto blaster, for quite a few years. But now I've got like a Sony amplifier, a Sony CD player, a JVC amplifier, and so the sound is just better than in the past, and that helps. So not taking any, I enjoy any Beatles, like, the original stereo, the remix, it has, some songs have their issues with the, Giles Martin remixes, but overall, I enjoy those. But like I said, if you've never listened to the Beatles in mono, it is a different experience. Some guitar solos seem to stand out more in mono. And what I've really noticed is the vocals, they're centered, they're not on one side, but they just seem to be more, it's almost like John or Paul or George are right there, like, in your head. I just find that the vocals sometimes really stand out in mono. And I also want to say that, you know, in the past I've ranked the Beatles albums. I know that Scott from the Prog Corner just ranked them. That was a interesting video. But listening to most of these in mono, it's like I enjoy every album. They're so different. Each album is different. They're so good. Even the early ones, which, you know, I usually resonate more with the later albums, but the early albums are great. Even, you know, Beatles for Sale, I really enjoyed that in mono. And ranking the Beatles albums for me now is kind of silly. There's no point to it because all of the albums are great. It's the Beatles. And the other thing I really love is when John and Paul sing together on so many of these songs. It's just something about their two voices together in mono, especially. And of course, you know, sometimes George is doing backup too with Paul. But the Beatles, they're just the best. So these albums, I did have Animals, not the remix, but the original remaster from a few years back in my collection. And I also had this, Atom Heart Mother. But they used to just sit in there year after year, and I would maybe play them once every 2 years, maybe. And I just couldn't get into them. But I will say, of the two, I love Animals more than Atom Heart Mother, but I really enjoyed, especially, well, I enjoyed it all. Except, you know, Alan's Psychedelic Breakfast was, you know, once again, one of their kind of crazy, bizarre, experimental tracks, but it's interesting. So I still enjoyed it. But side one, which is all one long track, it's an instrumental with different sections. I just have a new appreciation for this album, and I'm gonna be playing it more and more. Better late than never. And, you know, imagine you're a Pink Floyd fan and you know all of their albums really well. Well, I don't. Not all of them. You know, there's some Metal, Wish You Were Here, The Dark Side of the Moon. But this one I didn't really know, so it's almost like listening to it for the first time. And such great guitar work by David Gilmour on this too. And the other thing I wanted to mention is Pink Floyd's vocals. I don't think they get talked enough. You know, David Gilmour and Roger Waters, just their vocals, and just a great experience. I would give this a 9 out of 10. And I'm going to be playing it more. Now this, I love it. I finally got it, ladies and gentlemen. And once again, the guitar work by David Gilmour really stood out for me. I think my favorite song is Sheep, and that riff in it. But there's quite a few great riffs throughout this album. But like I said, I don't know this album really well enough to give it a proper review. Plus, I suck at reviewing. I really do feel, you know, I'm not great at reviewing albums, but I have a passion for music, and, you know, I'm just showing my love for music. So I think this is a 10 out of 10. Don't go away yet. I'm going to talk about Donovan. I think Donovan now is, along with Paul McCartney, my favorite solo artist. Past Lou Reed, past Frank Zappa, he's at number 2. So I'm gonna, you know, for a first listen for for 2 of these, the one I've heard a few times, I will say My third favorite, I love them all, by the way, but my third favorite would be Barabba Jagal. I said it right. This is great. It's a very uplifting album. There's a song on it that's called I Love My Shirt. It's a song for children, right? And I know some Donovan fans dislike that, but I don't see anything wrong with having a lighthearted song on an album like this. And so, like I said, I've only heard it once. Atlantis, I finally heard that song. At first, the spoken word part at the start, I was thinking, so this is one of his great songs? And then of course, the chorus comes in and everything, and I really enjoyed it. So this, for me, I'm not going to rate it yet because I've only listened to it once, but I was very impressed with it. Number 2, which I've heard a few times, A Gift from a Flower to a Garden, which was originally a double album, and one album was children's songs, although you can't really tell by those titles. But I love this. This is the album that got me to appreciate Donovan so much more. I'd known some of his songs like Mellow Yellow and some of his other hits, but such a big fan of this. This is a 10 out of 10. Donovan, Open Road. I know some of my viewers were saying that this is a great album, and you're right. I think this, but I've only listened to it once, but I was right into it right away. This is more rock oriented. I was kind of surprised. Donovan plays electric guitar on it. And some of it, not all of it, but some of it is actually heavy rock. And the Jeff Beck group plays on 2 tracks. That's the other thing about Donovan, is he was really respected in the music community by other artists. Paul McCartney sang on the Hurdy-Gurdy Man in the background. The Jeff Beck group, Jimmy Page, John Paul Jones has played with him, of course, on songs, and possibly John Bonham. I was so impressed with this, and all of the unexpected changes in some of the songs. This just made me love Donovan more. And like I said, of the Donovan albums I've heard, and even though I've only listened to this once, I think this is my favorite of the Donovan albums. And this would be a great starting off point for anyone that's not familiar with him. And I would highly recommend the song Curry Land, which might just, like I said, just on a first listen, that might be in my top 10 Donovan songs and up near the top. So I'm, really looking forward to getting to know this album even more. But like I said, I was so impressed with it. And this is more a band-oriented album, And the band was called Open Road. So check this out because it is awesome. This is a 10 plus. And that's it. And like I said, I will be listening to Syd Barrett very soon and more of everything. The Beatles in mono, Pink Floyd, Donovan, and everything else. Thanks for watching. Looking forward to your comments on Pink Floyd and Donovan and the Beatles in mono below. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.